Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome and thanks for joining me today. Uh, I sound slightly less ugly than I did yesterday. For those of you who missed I pre-recorded a bunch of videos. Hey, Klingon, knowing I would be probably not sounding too good today. But so yeah, today. So first, I did announce some changes. I put Nightbot to be my mod, and I know some mods had to step down, but I think others may have gotten kicked off. So I can't see it, but if that happens, shoot me an email and let me know. Nightbot went on a tear. It muted Mad Dog for saying hello with emojis. Just the little robot went nuts. So if he shows up and kicks anyone off, please let me know. Um, but that being said, I'm trying to automate it so we're not having to jump in so much. In any case, thanks for joining me, everyone. I appreciate everything. Um, and let's see who is in the chat today. Hello, Scott. Scott gets the first place award today. Patriot Prepper, welcome, welcome. Oh, that's Scott again. Sorry. Klingon, hello. Dave Simmons, and Marco, what's up? Hola, Shorty. How have you been? Oh, there's the troublemaker. Um, I was gonna have him randomly throw jokes into the chat, but I tested it and it went sideways, so I'm still playing with this little robot guy because you can very quickly it can very quickly get crooked with this thing. So I've made a couple of videos regarding the spy balloon and the surveillance and Skynet's in the chat. Yeah, I know. Hey Vision, hey Lucky. Skynet's in the chat. There's pros and cons. I'm still playing with it. I used to be a IT guy before I was an engineer, or actually, I was an IT guy while I was getting my undergrad. So I know a lot of tricks to be mischievous unto my own demise. But I had a few videos about what I thought the surveillance balloon was, because there was a lot of conjecture, right? None of us really knew what the hell was going on. Marco, quit yelling in the. Oh no. Oh no, it got Marco. Okay. It didn't get Vision. Man, Skynet take no crap. I'm telling you. Good Lord. And that little dude is gonna do all sorts of stuff. So anyway, um that's funny actually. Isolating. Ugh. So last night I got to sit in and I was feeling pretty awful. I'm sure you could tell by my voice at the time. Um went through a video with Cold War. Cold War was an old signal intelligence type guy. And he had a lot of perspectives on this whole spy balloon, and he said, "Man, it's missing certain things." Uh, okay, that's bueno. I'm glad, Lucky. Hey, Texas Views, how are you? Marco got penalty box. That's terrible. Hey, Texas Views. Hey, Joe. Joe the other day was taunting Nightbot. He was just going in there going, "Eat my shorts, Nightbot. Bite me, Nightbot." And Nightbot, I guess, didn't compute Joe's mischievousness. So Joe was getting a free pass. He was just going to town. At ease your noise. Don't judge my caffeine. Oh, Dave, I've been sick with some kind of flurona since Friday. Up until yesterday midday, I've been running a low grade fever, and it was just ugly. It was not pretty. I was mobile. I was functional. I could get out and get the dogs out, make myself soup. Um, it didn't hit me as hard as I've seen it hit some people where they're just down and out. Uh, yeah, it is my flurona. So my brother decided it's either Balloon flu or spirona. So you guys can vote if it's balloon flu or spirona. Because I got sick right around when the balloon showed up. So my brother's like, "You got balloon flu," and so yeah, that's apparently that's the purpose of siblings in your older years is to come up with dumb shit to call each other because you're too old to actually fight anymore. Um, Although, to be fair, I'm sure there are plenty of siblings in our age group who'll throw down. And oh no, Texas Views got hit. Okay, I need to change that setting. Uh, yeah, Nightbot. What it is, it's set in case somebody tries to spam me with a bunch of caps, like the hoochie bots show up and they start saying, go to sex.com or whatever, and they put these big everything in caps. And so um, Nightbot tries to stop that. Unfortunately, it's also attacking my viewers, so we'll have to. Sorry about that, Texas Views. We'll work on that later on. Hey, my mother's smart. Welcome, welcome. So Lee and I had a really good conversation, and he said there were certain things missing from the balloon that would have prevented it from being a full surveillance package. And he's not wrong, right? Because if you want to pick up UHF or VHF, you need, you have a 40-meter wavelength. You need a certain length of antenna to pick up on that. Um, I love what Terribly Tactical calls him. Oh, Ross, I'm glad you're better. Um, hey, Bonnie's welcome, welcome. Klingon Princess votes Spirona. Oh, Mom is home. Yeah, everyone is busted except for the females, Pepper and Luna. Um, the two boys are busted because Bentley basically beat up Jackson and then stole his cookie. And then Pepper beat Bentley up and stole the cookie from him. And then there was a big brawl, so but the boys started it, so the boys got busted. So balloon flu sounds good. Start rumors about. Oh God. See, and it's all fun and games. We'll do that as a group joke, right? All of us will be like, "Oh, the balloon made roaming prepper sick." Blah blah blah. Next thing you know, half of us are in YouTube jail, which would happen. Um, oh, he is. He's a T Rex. He's got this big head on him. Yeah, get an instant 4K subs and then get a 1 week in the penalty box. But we had this convo, and man, Lee had some good points, and I'm sitting there, we're talking about it. We're like, that's a lot of effort the People's Republic put into sending this airship over the US and caused a big scene, only to have an F-22 shoot it down as soon as it hit the water. They were like, the Air Force must have been like, we just want to shoot it down, people, because it's fun. Um, but hang on, I gotta go put phone away. Possible, absolutely possible. Um, uh-oh. Yeah, I probably need to let it at least be a few more all caps. Yeah, no, Bonnie's Nightbot is. I gotta see if I can finagle that. So the Nightbot gets he freaks out when someone uses all caps, and this is new to the channel. This is like the second time I've used this stupid little robot, and part of the problem is when those like the sex bots show up or whatever spam, and it's normally it's all caps and emojis. So Nightbot sees all caps and emojis and goes, "Be gone," and it kicks him out. But now what it's doing is anybody. Oh, LOL, I got timeout. All right, yeah, I see where he. Uh, Let me see if I can turn that off for a little bit anyway. So at least we're not getting We're not getting people run out for using all caps constantly. Let me see if I give me a second here. Excess caps. Let's disable excess caps for now. I'll just roll that. All right. Hey, Texas views. I think okay. I disabled the excess caps, so I think you're good. No, you're fine. And I forget, like, we have a few folks who they forget their glasses. They're older folks who are following me, and they'll use all caps because when you put caps, you can see the little keyboard on your phone easier. So yeah, the excess caps is off, so I think we should be good now. Um, so if anyone wants to try, Joe can try it. Just do all caps and see if it. The Nightbot cap, yeah. So I don't know. I'm gonna try. We'll see how it goes. I've disabled it for now, so hopefully it shouldn't kick anyone out. The caps queen. See, but you didn't use all caps, man. Okay. If it kicks Texas views out, let me know because I may not see the warning. Now everyone's going to use caps. There you go. It'll be like a bunch of drunks yelling in a bar. I know you're fine, Texas views. Um, yeah, I've got enough mods floating the chat that if they need to go and whack a negative bot, like a spam bot, they should be able to do it. Yeah, caffeine is good. Okay, now everyone's happy. So, but yeah, so Cold War, I saw Cold War snuck in. Hey, Lee. So, to Lee's point, it needed certain antenna arrays. We're like, well, was the balloon big enough? But yesterday, we just didn't have enough information. So, earlier today, I had a break during lunch and I went and looked up what information was available about the wreckage that was retrieved. And it turns out that the balloon diameter itself was, taken as like a circle, was larger than the Statue of Liberty. Like you could put the Statue of Liberty in the balloon for context. And then underneath it did indeed have a big array. And I'm like, okay, so I figured instead of trying to explain it, I got my engineer psychosis on, and I'm not whacking a porn bot, one of those. So I have to do that's terrible. God, I can't leave you guys loose in the chat. It just goes downhill. Oh no, it got FSP too. Oh, this is too funny. Oh man. See, now I'm gonna go and make Spambot just say random sarcastic things. Instead of actually kicking anyone off, it's just gonna start commenting at the chat. So, yeah, it is a big ass balloon. I don't think I've had this much fun with an automated this the computer program. Y'all be nice and hit the like. It's free and pop balloons. There you go. Thanks. Oh, this is too funny. Hey, Ark's in here somewhere. Kentucky Survival. Sorry, we got silly and like people showed up. There's Ark living. Hello, rescue. What's up? Um, yeah, and Bonnie's. That's just we use the Nightbot because sometimes I'll do like an if I'm traveling, I'll do a live purely out of the blue in the middle of the workday when everyone else is at work, but I happen to be stuck in an airport, and so the robot actually helps kind of prevent like because you get jerks coming, you know how the internet is, and then they start with their nonsense. So, but then of course, then he's here and he starts whacking regular. I never heard of a mod bot. It's not being nice. No, it's not. That's why I started the video. You may not have caught the very beginning that I used it on my last video, and I warned everyone that he's being a butthole because he tried to kick my brother off. He was in the chat. We were doing like a test run, and I kept trying to kick my brother off the chat. So yeah, and so that's true. So I can customize the settings, but since I never used it before, I didn't know how frequent it would how it would attack people, or if it would, for instance, if I said don't use more than 5 emojis, well, some of the folks use a lot of emojis. So I'm gonna have to go back now that I've seen this. Uh, yeah, and since I already started the live, I don't think I can make him be quiet. That what was being a butthole. Yeah. So yeah, who got Arc Living got Picasso? Okay. Yeah, I might. I used to program. God, I programmed Fortran and DOS. I was able to use a computer. My kids broke the mouse once, and I was able to use the computer without the mouse, just using the keyboard. I got into a run command. I was opening programs, and you'd swear I had discovered ancient hieroglyphs. Like all the teenagers at the time in the room were like, and they freaked out. And I'm like, no, just hit tab and the Windows key, and then yeah, you don't even need a mouse. And I'm like, blink, 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 and stuff's opening up, and they freaked out, y'all. Um, Great. Who's next? I did keywords that the porno pedos used to spam. You may have confused him there. He's like, well, are you porno or pedo? I'm not sure. So, and that bot was FSP approved. Okay, I did not know that. That's kind of funny. Now, do the mods have the option of allowing it after the fact when Nightbot kicks it? Oh, it got Bonnie now. See, it shouldn't have stopped you from using 2 emojis. It's supposed to stop you if you use like 55 emojis or something like that. So anyway, okay, so while you guys have a fist fight with the angry little robot, see, and they make him look all cute, right? They look at him. They put this little dude out there, and he's like, "Oh, look at the little Nightbot. He looks like the little robot from Wally." But in reality, he's like the little police bot from Wally that he goes, "Nah," and he kicks you off. So he's being a bit of a puto, and nobody likes that. But anyway, so oh, that's right. Mods can't undo another mod's timeout. That includes Angry Bot over there. So, okay. So I actually was making a PowerPoint for work, and I was like, I'm going to make a PowerPoint for this as well. So it's probably easier. So Nightbot is being an a-hole. Um, See, and so it gives me an option to block obscenities, and I'm like, if I blocked obscenities like asshole and douche and stuff like that, then there'd be no chat because all of us go and we like to insult each other. So so I actually did a PowerPoint for this, which is kind of retarded, but I thought it was fun too. But dogs are going to work. Oh, dude, that would be so bad, Bonnie's. Those robot dogs. Could you imagine it suddenly flips out and goes intrude, and it just comes over and starts trampling people? That'd be awful. So, all right. So to Lee's point, right? It was missing things. So yesterday we didn't have a bunch of info. Um, what I found out this morning, right? Because I it got me thinking, so I went back, and that's why in my thumbnail you see a thank you to Cold War Prepper because he got me thinking about this. So what we understood, the balloon was reported not just by CBS, by the Pentagon. It was different sources. It was 200 feet or greater across. So it's a big balloon. I'm going to move those little commando guys because they're kind of blocking what we're doing here. Bear with me just a second. Do, 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 do. We'll just hang out with RP today. How about that? Oh, now the roaming prepper thing shows up. Well, that's a pain in the butt. All right. Well, the SWAT guys it is then. All right. So, um, ta-da. Oh no, I noticed, Jay. Okay. Prepare for a trample. Hey, Rip Girl, how are you? Um, we know the balloon was 200 foot across, or greater is what they're saying. larger than the height of the Statue of Liberty. So one of the science types on the news said, basically, if you could hypothetically put the Statue of Liberty in the balloon, it would be like a snow globe. Um, which really bizarre big snow globe. Anyway, it's traveling 25 miles high, which we already knew. It was able to maneuver and receive commands, which means it had some kind of telemetry uplink. And was not very fast, obviously. It took 7 days, but it moved pretty quick for a balloon because it was so high. It weighed about 2,000 pounds. And this is an artist's rendition, which is not very well done to scale because uh, a little Learjet, that's like a G6. That's not the right airplane for that. Think of like the Southwest Airlines airplane is about 75 feet across. So like you could fit that plane in the balloon. So it's a big balloon, right? So so we know that. We kind of know this much. And then so I took Lee's info, and Lee, I'm summarizing here if you're still in the chat. Um, we both agreed. So Lee and I had different thoughts, right? So we both agreed it was surveillance. Uh, I said they're definitely gathering photos, so did Lee. Now Lee thinks, well, it's unlikely signal intel because it lacked antennas because yesterday we didn't uh we didn't realize the size of the balloon. And I'll come back to why now think it did have antennas, but we didn't know that last night. Like this is literally they pulling stuff out of the water and they're finding this out. Um, it didn't look like it had a dish big enough and little to no comms. So somebody needs to, yeah, was a arrow. This is true though. Um, and the mate, yeah, Nightbot. He needs Eva from the Wally movie. True, the balloon did a better job than Southwest did during Christmas. Um, so had little to no comms. I thought it would have comms, but again, we didn't know. So we're both trying to hypothesize what's happening here. And but so then I said, well, what if we take two? What if it was surveillance? It was taking photos. It actually did have antennas. Comms exist, and it was working with a satellite. That would check my boxes and Lee's boxes as to a viable surveillance package. And so I got this picture off of shoot, the Air Force Public News, and it showed up somewhere else. That I think the okay, and that I figured it would be what do you call 'em? An E2C. But yeah, U2, which makes you wonder. They say, "Oh, we retired the U2s and the SR-71s." No, they didn't. They retired some of them. They still have them flying around up there. So he was jamming. See, and that's something else we didn't know yesterday. So if you look at the balloon in the picture, right, it definitely has an array under that balloon. The last pictures, um, the balloon would be a great round table. I don't know, not now. Now it's all pieces. Now it would just be a dog toy, a really big dog toy. So the F-22 looks big, but it's actually way lower than the balloon because they were flying under it before one of them went up and attacked it. Uh, we both know the array and the balloon are close together because they're attached, and it's symmetrical from that perspective. That doesn't mean it's not, ovalized or something like that. But from that look, you guys can see that little array bar right in the middle. I don't know, can you guys see that right here? That little array is pretty squared under the balloon. So the question is, and to Lee's point, well, if you're going to pick up UHF, VHF, some of these other a round table. Oh, round table discussion. I thought you were going to make the table out of the balloon. You see, this is what happens when you take Vicks cold and flu NyQuil and then do a live stream, right? Your brain doesn't work. Um, Although now I'm not coughing right now. But so, round table, good lord. Yeah, we were missing a lot of info. So you look at this. Hey, All American, what is going on? It's good to see you, my friend. Yeah, and I missed a few people in the chat, so if I missed you, my apologies. So yeah, and they did have a U2 jamming it. Yeah, no, I need a cocktail after this week just from the unhappiness. But so what I wanted to do is say, okay, because this was a big thing. If you don't have the antennas, you don't have the array, you can't pick up certain things. You just physically can't. You can try to grab some microwave and cell phone wavelengths, but you can't right, it does look like solar panels. And it definitely should have solar panels because it has power, and I'm going to get to that. So I went a step further. I actually used a little CAD program, and since I don't have the dimensions of the balloon, what I did, I blew up the photo, and I made a little line, and the computer told me that line is 1.24 inches on my screen, and that I used as my balloon. And then I did the same thing and measured the little array, and it's zero point 0.9. So you have, if you do the math out right, assuming a 200-foot balloon, what is the array size? And I'm getting to the solar panel thing here. Um, no, they are solar panels, but you need the antennas. But here's the question. If those two little arms, you see the little arms, right, all the solar panels? If they're long enough, why could you not have the solar panels and have an embedded antenna running the length of the arm? I mean, look at our cell towers. Half of them have outward facing transmitters, and they're also uh, have antennas running up the length of it. So we do it on the ground. Could they have done it in the air? But it has to be long enough, or you won't have enough length of antenna to pick up UAV, UHF, VHF, microwave, other stuff like that. So I did the math, right? You guys remember cross multiplication, right? So unfortunately, I have to use it way more than I like. So 200 feet over unknown, and then I put in my other measurements. I mathed, and I came up with an array of 145 feet. So spitballing, spitballing that this balloon would be 200 feet, which we're assuming they're telling us the truth. This array, based on this particular photo, could be upwards of 140 feet. And right, it has a small internal skeleton, kind of like the Hindenburg, right? A very light metal frame on the inside. It has this long array. 140 feet would be more than long enough to check Lee's box. Lee had the boxes. You need enough solar panels to give power, and you need a long enough frame to put a receiver that will pick up the UHF VHF surveillance, but still be big enough to put those micro cameras on there. That would fit the bill. So basically, and again, this is purely me playing with a little computer aided program and a very weird picture of a balloon that pissed off America. If I did my math right, assuming what we know, Grandpa Ice Cream doesn't say true, true. We're looking at 145 foot away. That would be more than long enough to check Lee's box on antenna length at that altitude. So, and then there are other things you can pick up with smaller, but think about it, 145 feet. A semi typically is 55 feet. So two semi lengths, or is that the trailer? The trailer's 45, so one, two, three trailers, end to end. Uh, that's a that's a long That's a long, long length of span. That's more than enough to put a lot of toys in there. So then, and Lucky is so quick on the draw. She should be the CEO of a company because seriously, she's already beat me to the punch here. Um, so what about the data? So I looked at the commercial, the civilian market, because I figure if it's in the civilian market, if a schlep like me can buy this, then surely the military has something better, right? Hey, Fed Up, what's going on? Yes. Oh, this thing coming into our airspace absolutely nauseated me. So hold on, I lost track of the chat here. So now this left here is Dish Network. Dish Network offers, and you guys know Dish Network. The dish is about what, like 2 feet across, ish, foot and a half, and so data with Dish Network, which is a stupid little dish. Oh, somebody, sorry, Fed Up. Yeah, Nightbot's on a tear. I tried to make him hush, and now he's angry and he's been pouncing people. So I'll get his little butt sorted out after. He and I are gonna have a talk with Bentley after the live stream. So I looked at the civilian market, Dish Network, which everyone's familiar with, right? That little dish, you can pay for up to 100 GB. Uh, hey, Prepping by Faith, welcome. 100 gigs from the ground to a geosynchronous satellite, right? That's a lot of bandwidth from ground level all the way up. So on the right is Tesla's Starlink dish. I was able to find a picture of it. It's less than 2 feet by 1 foot. And I hear this has more speed than the old dish network. So maybe 200 gig. So he has more than enough. If they have something similar or they've stolen the technology, they have more than enough capacity to upload data from the balloon. Now, then I was thinking, and Lee brought this point up, you have to, that's a lot of data and the balloon's moving. So, we discussed that as well. And I'm like, doggone. So we had to check another box, which was, okay, so we know that the antenna array is definitely long enough for signal intelligence and to hold its solar panels and to hold cameras at 120 to 145 feet, plenty long. A small dish will transmit at least 100 GB on the civilian market. Starlink on the right allegedly can do more. So definitely can transmit data. So then I was like, okay, well, how much power would that take? Oh no, how would it send the data? Because we were messing with it. Well, if so, this is a high altitude. This is from the AFP website. This is actually a NASA thesis that was written by Professor Dublé from the National Aeronautics Space Administration. He actually was a NATO guy too. This is public release, by the way. This was on the public websites. In any case, so I got my aerospace on this one. So okay, here's my balloon. This particular one was 25, maybe 30 feet, 30 feet, 30 miles up. A geosynchronous is way the hell up here, right? But a low Earth satellite like a Starlink is much lower. So if you can use this little dish from the ground to transmit to a satellite here, you sure as heck could use that same technology to transmit from a balloon to the satellite. You have less atmosphere, less clouds, less other RF interference, and a clear line of sight. Now, even if it's not geosynchronous, if that satellite's, making rounds, what it does is, and we've used this in the energy sector, is you have a passive SCADA. The satellite goes over, the SCADA is just waiting. As the satellite appears on the horizon, it transmits. It's transmitting saying, "Here I am, here I am." As soon as the balloon receives that, he goes, "Oh, I have information for you." And he starts a data dump. He drops, a few hundred gigabytes of package over a 5 minute, 10-minute span, shuts off. Satellite keeps going. And that's a good point. Wow, that's a whole rescue. That is a whole nother ball of wax there, is where they surveying their own stuff while they were surveying ours, because they conveniently have bought farms near our Air Force bases, if you hadn't noticed. But in any case, so there you go. So data dumping. So the balloon drifts where they need it, right? It receives some commands. That's how they were commanding it until the U-2 intercepted it and started screwing with it. Um, a satellite went by, said, "Turn right, turn left, do whatever." And he received his signal. He said, "Okay, I execute these commands." And then it just kept going. Um, Satellite passing a lower orbit sends a signal, balloon receives, dumps data, and then it stops. And that should be quiet mode, not quiet mode. And it waits for the next signal. Geosynchronous are much higher, and because they're stationary, the Air Force and Space Force are watching those. So if they start receiving something they don't like, they're going to go and break that up. So Cold War, and we may have to have, like, my mother Spark said, we may have to have a panel about that. Is so how do the farms come into play other than food production? That's frightening. That's very concerning. So is this getting last minute surveillance for fifth column activity? I'm just throwing that out there. There's a lot going on here that we don't realize. Um, but in any case, so yeah, you could do the data dump. So what do you conclude from here? Hold on, I lost my. No, he'd have to go just from the balloon to a passing satellite, do a dump, a telemetry dump, which basically would be the initial command followed by data packets, and then stop. Now, he'd be limited in how much he could send if he's not sending to a geosynchronous. He's relying, and that may be why it took that weird diagonal path across the US. They may have been trying to steer that balloon to stay in the path of a satellite going in that direction across the Earth. Um, but then, yeah, to that point, is there a receiver on the ground we're not even thinking about right now? And that's concerning, Cold War. Oh, good Lord. Now we've gone down the rabbit hole. They're calibrating marking. Could that airship also have had antennas? Possibly, possibly. But you guys kind of see, yeah, they have been buying precious at the it's just, this is like the first day I could function without being completely garbage. But there you go, balloons more than large enough to carry the large array. So the array is roughly 140, 150. And again, this is assuming what we're hearing in the news is valid, but that checks Lee's box. It needed a long enough array to go with to for that signal intelligence. I was worried about data transmission, as was Lee. Like, we're like, how are they going to pull it off with the new science, with the new stuff on the market off the shelf? That checks that box too. Also, one reporter posted that balloons are much less expensive. Apparently, they have a very low radar profile, which I did not know, and better resolution, which is something Cold War pointed out, because you're under satellite distance, so you have a much clearer picture if your weather's favorable. So, folks, that's I mean, I know I got my science guy on with that one, but trying to figure out what the hell went on. And the scary thing is, what is the purpose of the stuff on the ground? Like, how is that going to play in? Yeah. You know, that's an interesting thought. Do a Zeppelin catching a Zeppelin. Believe it or not, the Empire State Building, if you remember before it had the radio tower on it, had a round top. If you ever watched the original King Kong, it was supposed to be a Zeppelin dock. Like the Hindenburgs were supposed to go over there and latch on, and then a tunnel would come out and the people would go down and then walk down the Empire State Building. Hey, Belt Loop, what's going on? Possibly, yeah. And I wonder if that's why they shot it down over water, um, because they wanted to try and get uh, the best chance of recovering whole. Now, my question is, why not go to guns, punch a few holes in the balloon, and because they've done that before, and then as it goes, you follow it around with an aircraft or with a helicopter until it in the water, and then you retrieve it intact. So, yeah, that's it's really hard to say. Um, yeah, it's no, hold on, TikTok. And it's a very effective technology. So I read one report that said there were explosives on board to sabotage the balloon, but as Cold War pointed out in the chat, if they're if uh, if they were jamming it, then they couldn't implement the explosive. So yeah, I think there was a combination of reasons that they waited till it was over water to take it down. It could be waterproof batteries. I would have put waterproof batteries because as the balloon ascends, it's going to go through weather and then it may go through unexpected changes in altitude throughout its travel. So, but and that's possible. Apparently, the Pentagon was watching it in the Aleutians, but nobody wanted to take action until civilians in Montana looked up and went, "What the hell is that?" And it caused a commotion. So, well, what we've discovered now is they can fly this gizmo with a 140-foot contraption under it, and it'll get into our airspace, and we'll just stare at it. So, yeah, no kidding. That's her, yeah. So yeah, so there was we were talking about if I have the spirona or the balloon flu. So, hey Annie, what's going on? Hey now, some of them had international harlots, not just DC harlots. Don't be discriminatory. And the it's hard to make jokes when you can't really laugh without coughing. But anyway, folks, uh, that's kind of my take on this satellite deal. And I want to thank Lee. I can't thank him enough because we were throwing those ideas yesterday, and I'm sitting there going, he's right. You need a daggone long enough array to. I might hit the vodka here shortly. That's for sure, Joe. I got cold schnapps in the freezer too, with the little fancy glasses that ironically I got from the Russian side of my family, which is just funny. Um, my Russian in-laws, which is just comical, who were run out by one of Putin's people. So go figure. Uh, but Cold War, thank you so much because this I would not have thought about the long array, and I was just taking it at face value. And unfortunately, I'm assuming the diameter of the balloon, and I'm making a lot of assumptions here, folks. But yeah, we had a Locopedia. Oh, that's messed up. I really need to buy a canner. That's peppermint vodka. I have. Do I have peppermint? I have peppermint schnapps, which I may be partaking of. I got to make dinner with that, otherwise I'll just mess myself up. And by the way, the little nightbot with the TikTok, I've gone on TikTok and agitated. Hey, Tennessee, what's going on? Um, I've made comments about like, oh, the president sucks, and of course it goes viral. And then I'll go, oh, uh, the People's Republic can bite me. I get 2 views. I'm like, I see what you're doing. So I like taunting the PRC. Um, Peppermint vodka, you just made Joe so happy. Apparently so. Uh, so folks, yeah, it's a hey, Vision. Wait, hold on. Vision went by. Somebody just jumped in, and hey, Dakota. Okay, the whole chat just jumped. So I was gonna say hello to people. If I missed you, my apologies. Hey, Oki. Um, but folks, so I gotta go have a conversation with Nightbot because he beat people up early in the chat. Uh, but PRC can eat my damn shorts too. But guys, you look at this and it checks the boxes. And again, Lee and I were coming from two different experiences, and there were boxes we didn't have checked. And I'm like, it was bugging me. I got up this morning, I'm like, that's that inner engineer. And I'm sitting there going, no, no, there's more to this, but we don't have data. We don't know. And honestly, as Lucky and several of you pointed out, we're never going to hear the full story. But if it turns out to legitimate be a surveillance device, that just gave the US an excuse to shoot every freaking thing down that comes our way. It's a balloon, we don't like that. In the ocean, and done with that. So oh, FSP got emojied again. I thought I turned that off. Apparently it does. Once I start the live, that's the end of that. So folks, thank you so much. I'm surprised I lasted this long. I think I'm going, what, almost an hour. I'm kind of shocked. I thought my voice would have given out by now. But in any case, night is Bender for few. In any case, no, I knew what you were saying, Jay. Look, guys. And as everyone's pointed out, Vision said it on his breakfast show the other day, and I know my mother Spark. A lot of people are saying it. Lucky has. Guys, keep doing the things, the food, because remember the food, the meds, the pews, those basic building blocks of preparedness will apply to a lot of situations. I would like to point out a lot of us have been battling, those of us who live in HOAs and subdivisions. A lot of people are like, well, you can't have chickens, you can't have home gardens. You're limited, right? Because the HOA doesn't want you to have chaos. Several West Texas counties are now reviewing that subdivision homes may now have up to, I think it was 4 chickens per home, and are encouraged to make garden boxes. And if your garden box is big enough, this is not a law. They're debating it in the Texas legislature and in the counties. The counties may lift the HOA restrictions so you can have up to so many chickens in your yard, and they'll allow you to plant carefully curated front lawn gardens like the English used to do during World War II. So you could do your little victory garden in front, and then you could do gardening in the back, and you can have some chickens, and you won't get written up. So they're actually trying to change the rules because the city councils and the county commissioners are realizing that things are not right. And if counties in the country, in Texas and Oklahoma and other places, are starting to change those rules, that's a good sign because that means they see the light. They understand what's going on and they're trying to legislatively make it better for the rest of us. So if they're trying to push that in your area and you support it, by all means, hey, Triple Threat, uh, go out to your hearings, go to the county commissioners and tell them, hey, we want to be able to plant gardens. I mean, obviously, don't make a shit out of your front yard, but uh, yeah, they're gonna change it. And yeah, and a lot of folks are like, don't live in an HOA. It's a double-edged sword because we've lived out in the country and the person next to me had a train wreck and he had rats and snakes and he didn't manage. If you have neighbors in the country who manage their property, it's a blessing. But if you have, the Bumpus's evil twin, the Chupacabras living next door to you, and they've got, dogs killing your chickens, not bueno, which has happened to some of my friends. So, but on the other side, you're in an HOA, you can't do very much of anything. So, but folks, do, I hope this was helpful. I hope this gave you some perspective on what I was seeing and what Lee and I spoke about. He raised some amazingly valid points, and we had boxes we needed to check. This balloon may have checked all of them, in which case this was definitely a surveillance run. And yeah, they these that was bold. That would never have happened 15 years ago, ever. But it happened now. So put your seatbelts on, kid. It may be a bumpy ride this year. So, but we'll get through it because we're actually paying attention. The sheep may not. I'm more worried about the other people than about the preppers. The stupids are the ones I'm concerned about. In any case, guys, I'm going to leave you with this. God bless, Godspeed, be safe, and I will talk to you all on my next video. Hopefully, I don't sound like, messed up Yoda and shit. But you guys keep out of trouble out there. Be good.